So I got a new washer and dryer delivered today. So I'm going to show you how to hook these guys up. It's a pretty easy thing, but if you don't know, then you don't know, right? So let's do that. Okay, so the first thing I do is install the hoses. So this obviously being red, it's going to be your hot. This blue is your cold. Now that should be the case. You might want to check and make sure before you unhook everything that that is right, but that definitely should be right. So in the end of these, you see these little black rubbers. That's a little O-ring washer to make sure it actually seals properly against the end of this piece of metal. So I'm going to screw it on. You'll feel when it's going on good. If it feels like it's too hard to put on right off the bat, then you're probably cross-threading it and you don't want to do that. So just make sure that all your washers are actually in the end of these things. So maybe what we'll do is I like to run them in with my hand, and then I just give them a little extra, maybe 1/4 inch turn, just so they seat a little better. You don't want to haul on them too much because it'll squish that washer, and that washer is not designed to be squished like that. So we'll screw on this cold side, and we'll get that a little extra there. That's good. Now we got to hook it up to the back of the machine. Okay, we're at the back of the machine here. So we're going to hook this red up to the red side, and it'll actually say, some of them aren't color coded, but it'll have writing on here. This side says hot, and this says cold right there. So at least we know we're putting it on the right side. Your hoses will get twisted and stuff while you're tightening these. So make sure that the twist that it's got in it is going to be okay for your setup, because you don't want to have to undo everything afterwards just because everything is all twisted funny. So make sure the rubbers are in this side too. If for some reason the end of your hoses have a screen in them, but your washer also has that little screen inside, you'll see inside there'll be a little piece in there that is a very fine filter. You don't want both. So take the screen out of the hoses if you have one in there. Most don't, but I've seen them come in and then people complain that their water pressure isn't very good, but when you pull it off and put it into a bucket, it's fine. So yeah, you don't want to double filter everything. Okay, so there's always a little box of goodies in here. Usually you get detergent or fabric softener or something like that. Your instruction manual on how to actually install the machine, which I don't think many people actually read that, although you probably should. It's got some good stuff usually in there. So this machine, I actually have to hook up the drain hose. So this end here with the clamp will go to the machine, the back of the machine, and this end here will go to the wall. Okay, so there's this little stub right here. That is where your drain line hooks up to. So this clamp on here is actually usually pretty tough to actually squish. So what I do is I back it off just up to here, push this on because it's going to be a fairly tight fit to get on there, and I point the hose so it's pointing directly up because it has to go up to be able to sit in the spot that it's going to in the wall. And I take my pliers. I just use regular pliers, and we'll squish that clamp. Got to squish it a little bit more. A normal pair of pliers, any kind of needle nose will even work in this case. But so we just want to get it over that little lip and make sure that it seals all the way around, and it sits in between. It's got two ridges on this line. It's kind of tough to see with everything in the way, but it should, the whole thing should sit in between those ridges all the way around. Now we can run this guy up to the wall and move the machine back towards the wall. Okay, we're gonna grab that drain line. These ones are actually fairly short, but it gives you, it goes through this U piece here. You can always move it along the hose length to make it so it sits higher. They give you this tie here. You can tie it to one of your fill lines. You can tie it to something else if it has, you know, something to actually tie off to in here. It's more or less just so this drain line can't pop out of the hole. So we got to go fairly high here. So I'm going to extend this quite a bit. And we'll move the machine back. That looks like it's just about high enough. Okay, so when you're moving it back, you got to just kind of walk it back. Usually the feet are either a rubber or a plastic. So usually they'll slide fairly nice. You don't want it to be, you know, touching the wall or anything, because you don't want to kink your hoses. Make sure they're sitting behind there just comfortably, no pressure on them. We can hook that up there. We'll get it sitting back just a hair more. So we're definitely going to have to level the machine because it should not be rocking like that. But I'll show you how to do that. That's about where I want it to sit. So I'm just going to tie this zip tie off to this cold line here. It doesn't have to be ridiculously tight. It just has to stop this thing from ever coming out. So as long as it's on there tight enough that it can't come out with you pulling it like that, you're fine. Okay, so leveling the machine is kind of the tough part. So what I do is I just use a shorter level. You can take all this tape and packing materials and stuff like that off your machine. You're not going to need that anymore. So I'll put the level first across the top front of the machine. I'll just show you where I'm putting it. So I'll put it right across the front, and it's going to have to come up on this left side. So it's got a rock to it that we can just find the middle of that bubble while rocking it back, and we can hit that spot. We're probably going to have to kind of chase ourselves around the machine a little bit. That's usually just the way it goes. Now, you can use whatever you want to turn it, but I usually use just my channel locks. They tend to work pretty good. So just watch your floor. You don't want to scratch it up or anything, but we'll get that leg so it's just about touching the floor, and we can fit our channel locks in there. So we can watch that level come up. Okay, so watching the level, we're just about there. Got a little bit more to go. Some of these legs have locks on them, so make sure you look underneath after and see if yours actually have locks that will lock them in place. So during a spin, it's not gonna back itself off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the rest of the rocking with this rear leg here, and that should get rid of the rock, plus lift the back high enough to fix everything. I might still have to raise that side up a little bit if I get rid of the rock, but it still needs to go higher to level it. I'll have to raise that one, but we'll see. Sometimes you have to go round and round and round, and it's kind of a pain, but so make sure there's nothing else in the machine. Make sure it's kind of level to the wall where you want it. It does look like the machine's leaning a little bit this way, but it must be the way the floor is sloped, because we've taken out all of that wiggle, and it's perfectly level front to back. So what I do now is turn on the water, and I turn it on slow. It's because I don't want to shock the heck out of everything. It's nice when it just comes in slow. I think the machine likes it a lot better too. So now that we turn those on, we can check the back and make sure we have no leaks coming. Oh yeah, there's no leaks there. No leaks up there. So what we're ready to do is to start the machine. Start it. Oh, sorry, there's one step I missed. We have to plug it in. Plug in helps. It definitely is a must. So usually they stick a bunch of tape on there. And just take that off. Plug that in. So I've got it set. We'll set it to tap cold. We're not going to do deep water right now. I just want a little bit to go in there. So we'll start just on a regular wash. So we'll let that start. Now what we're checking for is these hoses. Once they get activated, we'll have to make sure that there's no leaks anywhere happening. Also, where that drain line connects to the back of the machine, we're going to want to check that and make sure that nothing's leaking out of there. Okay, so while that washer fills and does its wash, actually maybe I'll pause it here in a minute because it's going to be a little loud in the background, but we'll hook up the dryer. There's only two things for the dryer. Hook the vent up and then plug it into the wall. So I'll show you that real quick. We're going to have to actually probably level it too, but that's fairly easy on a dryer. So I'll move it into place. We'll hook up that vent, plug it in, and then we'll actually put it into the spot that I want it to be when everything's all done, and then we'll level it from there. Okay, so now we got the hooking up with the dryer. So this is the vent we're going to be putting on it. I've gotten the outlet on the dryer as close as I can to the vent piece, and you guys still able to see. So basically all we're going to need is a flat blade screwdriver. So we're just going to put the vent on. The vent, if you're changing it or whatever, you won't have it connected to the wall, but you just basically do the exact same thing there. Make sure your vent isn't full of lint. You can put the clamp whichever way you want. Sometimes you have to play with it a little bit just to get it on there. I think I'm going to actually end up putting another vent on this because this one's getting kind of old. Okay, so once you actually get it on there, you can tighten the clamp wherever is easiest to put the actual end that the screw part of it. Just put it there. It's not going to matter for anything really. So make sure it's on far enough that there's no piece hanging off, like it's fully covered. And I push it on to the dryer actually quite a ways, just so it's on there fairly good. It's a very easy process, but I just wanted to actually show you how to do it. Now, dryer plugs will have one fitting that's kind of weird, this top one. It's shaped like an L. So line that up with how your wall plug is and plug it in. Keep your fingers away from the actual prongs while you're pushing this in, because if it's in far enough, you can get electrocuted, and we don't want that. So push it in like that, and you're ready to go. Now we can test the dryer. We're probably gonna have to level it a little bit once we get it into place, but let's see. Okay, so I've got the dryer level now. It took a little bit, which I wasn't expecting, but just turning legs, you'll get it. When you move the dryer into its place, make sure that it is not squishing the vent in the back. If it looks like it's folding over itself or something, you have to move your dryer. I know that's probably where you want it, but you have to either move it out or shorten that hose in the back, or change the vent on the back to maybe a rigid type or something like that. But so yeah, we're good to go. The dryer, there was a couple things inside the actual dryer we've taken out. Lint filter is up here, just in case you've never had this type of dryer before. So to test it, just going to run it over to a time dry, hit the button, and we're good. All we got to do is make sure it heats. And yeah, this is how you set up your washer and your dryer. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.